So a lot of first-time cruisers have questions that seem to come out of nowhere. And to people who are experienced in cruising, well, they may think these are silly questions. I'm going to go over these questions and help people sort them out.
My name is Stuart, this is Ship to Shore Cruise News. Let's get into it.
I'm just editing the video and I noticed there's a few problems here today. I was just using a different camera. I was using my old camera just to see what it would look like, and it didn't work too bad. The picture quality is not that bad. It's my old Sony RX 100 Mark II. It's not that bad of a camera, but there's some weird zoom effects, some weird focus adjustments every once in a while, as well as a weird icon that I just couldn't get rid of without cropping way too much. Anyway, I'm going to continue using what I usually use, which is my phone, which I'm recording this on, or my GoPro, my GoPro 10. I record most of my content with my GoPro. Anyway, back to the video. Hey, so we've all been first-time cruisers at one point or another, and I'm sure when we look back at what we thought of cruising when we first started, we probably are in a different place now than when we stepped onto that cruise ship for the first time. So I've been taking a look at different forums online, different Reddit groups, different Facebook groups, and so on, and taking a look at some of the questions that people are saying are just stupid. But these are legitimate questions that first-time cruisers are asking. So I've got a list of 10 questions that first-time cruisers are asking that are legitimate questions. So let's talk about it. Number 1. So this is a real question, and it's, how much does it cost to eat at the main dining room? So there have been stories, and I've heard this more than once, of people only eating in the buffet because they thought the main dining room was an extra charge. When you take a look at a main dining room for the first time, it does look like a pretty fancy restaurant. There's very nice decorations, the staff are very organized, very well dressed, and when you first look in, it does look like a fine dining establishment, and people can easily get the misconception that it must be an upcharge. I know that one of my kids, my 15-year-old at the time, we sat down at the dinner and he leaned over and he goes, "Dad, there's no prices on this menu." And so I had to give a little chuckle, and I reminded him that, this dining room was free. And he goes, "Even the steaks?" And I'm like, "Even the steaks." So question number 2, and this is food related. We're going to be out on the sea for a week. What if we run out of food? Now, a lot of people might think that's a silly question, but I can understand where people are thinking, where they're coming up with that thought. If you think about how much food is being consumed at the buffet, at the pizza place, at the burger places, at the chicken places, and all the restaurants and all the cafeterias, you can see that a cruise ship of 3,000 to 4,000 people are going to go through an awful lot of food. Well, I just want everybody to be rest assured that there's plenty of food for the entire cruise. I did a behind-the-scenes tour once on the Epic, and when their larders are full, they can be out there for a month without getting any more food. One good thing to note is that when they stop in the different cruise ports, they typically do pick up provisions at those ports, sometimes for local delicacies for the dinner that night. Sometimes it might be just for certain things they can only get in certain points. But be rest assured, you're not going to run out of food in that week. Number 3 question, will I get seasick? Well, you might. I don't know. It depends. Are you prone to motion sickness? If you are, well, then you've got a better chance of getting motion sickness while on a cruise ship. But there's ways you can mitigate how badly you feel that motion in the ocean, so to speak. If you're picking a cabin in the middle of the ship, maybe down lower, you're not going to feel the rocking of the boat that much. If you're at one of the ends up high, then when that boat's rocking, you're really going to notice it. You'll also find that during the daytime hours, the captain usually goes a little slower, so you don't feel those waves quite as much. Now there are ways that you can try to fight the motion sickness, and that is you can get these patches that go behind your ear. I see a lot of people wearing those, and I'm told they're very effective. Plus there's also medication to help you get through those rough seas, so to speak. My youngest child is prone to motion sickness in the car for extended periods of time, and over a 7-day cruise on both the Joy and the Escape, he didn't even feel the ship move once. So if you're prone to motion sickness, I would say there's a good chance you're not going to notice it in the ocean quite as much. But it just depends on how badly or how easily you get motion sick. But don't be afraid. Try the patch, try the medication, give it a go. Number 4, people like to know, is water free on the ship? You're going to hear people say, no, it's not free. But to be honest, there is a lot of free water that you can get on board the cruise ship. That water in your bathroom, out of the sink, out of the bathroom tap, so to speak, that is drinkable water. Every cruise ship has a salination and purification plant on board, so you can drink that water. But I can tell you, it's not the best tasting water. When you get up to the buffet, you're going to find places where you can fill up glasses of water, and you can fill up your bottle of water there as well, and carry that around with you all day. When you're in restaurants, you can ask for glasses of water, sometimes a pitcher of water as well, just to make things easier. Now, in your cabin, when you get on board, you may find 2 bottles of water there on the counter. Be very careful. These might not be free. Take a look to see if there's a tag on them. And the tag will say if it's complimentary or if there's a charge. And if you're still not too sure, ask your room steward or call down to guest services, and they'll let you know about those bottles of water. Number 5, hey, can I bring my own beer, wine, or hard alcohol onto the ship? Well, no, not really. If you're going to bring your hard alcohol on the ship, they're going to say no. If you put it into your luggage, there's a chance it's going to get through, but your luggage does go through a security screening as well. And if their x-rays detect a bottle of alcohol in there, they will retrieve it and take it from you. And you can pick it up on your last day of cruising as well. As for 6 packs of beer, no, you're not going to be able to bring those on either. Now when it comes to wine, you can bring on bottles of wine on most cruise ships. Not all. There are a couple of cruise lines that say no bottles of wine allowed. Now when you do bring those bottles of wine on, just be aware you're probably going to get charged a corkage fee of about $15 per bottle of wine that you bring on board. So if there is a particular bottle of wine that you want to enjoy on board that ship, go ahead, buy it, bring it on your carry-on. Just be aware you may have to pay a surcharge, a corkage fee, when you come on board. Now, sometimes you're going to be in a port of call and you're going to see an alcohol there, some sort of liquor they can only get in that country or in that particular port. And in that case, if you buy it, you can bring it on board, but when you get back on board, you're going to hand it over, and you're not going to be able to get that back till the evening before disembarkation, so you can pack it in your luggage. So you can buy that foreign alcohol, but you can't take it back to your cabin. So before I get to number 6, I just want to remind everybody that I'm my own sponsor. And at this point of the video, I just want to say, hey, if you like what I'm covering today, give me a thumbs up on that video. Click that thumbs up down below. If you want to hear more information, lists, questions, things about cruising, hit that subscribe button, and there's that little bell icon, and what that does is that notifies you when Ship to Shore Cruise News has put out another video. So hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and if you feel like buying me a cup of coffee, click on that link to buy me a cup of coffee too. So number 6 on this list of questions people actually ask is, do I need to dress up for dinner? Well, Not really, but you should be pretty well presentable when you do go for dinner at most restaurants, other than the buffet. At the buffet, if you want to show up in an undone shirt, your bathing suit, and flip-flops, that's fine. But if you're going to go to the main dining room, well, then you should wear something a little nicer. You should probably be wearing some nice shoes or sandals. You should have a shirt on, some shorts, or maybe better pants. But you're not going to have to dress up in a tie and suit for a man or a fancy dress for a woman. Those days are gone. But most cruise lines do have what's called a formal night. And what you should be aware of is that it's encouraged that you dress up nicely, that you wear a suit and tie, that you wear a nice dress, but it's not mandatory either. Now that's talking about the complimentary dining on a cruise ship. Every cruise ship as well has additional dining. So these additional dinings are going to be upcharged. They're going to be an additional fee to dine at these places, but they may have their own dress code as well. So please be aware, you might show up somewhere in some nice shoes, a nice polo shirt, a nice shorts like I did, only to find out that you have to have pants. And when they say pants, they don't mean jeans, they mean pants. So be aware of the dress codes for those specialty restaurants. But just remember, just be presentable when you go for dinner. I think that's the biggest thing that they want. Number 7 is about excursions. Hey, should I book my excursions before I get on the cruise ship? Because it's sure a lot easier to do so when I'm on the ship. Well, my advice is book that excursion as soon as you can before you get on that cruise. There's going to be excursions you're going to look at and you're going to go, I want to do this. I can't wait to get on board, and I'm going to book it. Well, my advice is to book it as soon as you know you're going to do it. That way, it's not going to fill up before you have a chance to book it, because a lot of these excursions get fully booked before that ship even leaves port. So don't let yourself be disappointed, and book that excursion as soon as you can. Number 8, it's about an activity. Hey, I've heard this activity called pier running. Can you tell me more about it, and how can I get involved? Yeah, so pier running isn't a sports activity. It's not going out there and running laps on the pier. Come to think of it, it might actually be kind of nice. You're out there by the water, by the ships and everything. But pier running is a terminology used to describe people who are late for the ship and they're just about to miss the ship departing. If you're not back on board the ship by that boarding time, then there's a chance they're going to leave without you. And quite often, it seems, there's people who are trying to make it at the very last second. And to make it on that ship, they're running down the pier just to make it on the last second. Those people are called pier runners. I think Cozumel might be the capital of pier runners. I'm not too sure. But if you do a Google search or go on YouTube and take a look for pier runners, you're going to see what I mean by saying it's really not an activity you want to partake on. Now, if you do want to do exercise while you're on a cruise, pretty well every cruise ship I've seen has a gym of some sorts on it. Usually quite good gym with fitness classes that are going to be available throughout the cruise. You're also going to find a jogging track and an outside sports court. And if you're on a Holland America cruise, well, their partnership with the Pickleball Association, and they have official regulation pickleball courts on board their ships. So take a look at that if you're on Holland America. So number 9 is, hey, am I going to have time to get to the cruise port from the airport when I fly in the day of the cruise? Maybe. Depends what time you arrive at that airport. Now, if you book your flight through the cruise line, they're probably going to try to book you a flight that gets you to the airport in time to take their shuttle to the cruise ship. If you book your own airfare, well, my recommendation is to try to get in the day before. Because if there's a problem, if there's a flight delay, and you arrive at your cruise port, city, airport, and you can't get to the cruise ship port on time, then if you've booked your own travel, that ship's going to leave without you. And at that point, you can maybe try to make arrangements to meet the ship at another port of call, or cancel your ship and maybe try to make a claim on your travel trip insurance, which I hope you buy. If you made those interrupted plans, travel plans through the cruise line, well, then the cruise line is going to do everything they can do to get you to that other port, so you can join the cruise with everybody else. Number 10, sea days. Sea days sound boring to me. Is there anything else to do other than go to the pool and maybe drink all day? Well, I have to tell you, I found sea days to be some of the busiest days of the cruise for me. There's been some sea days where it'll be 3 or 4 in the afternoon before I've even realized that I haven't gone outside. Every evening, you're going to find a list of activities that are going to happen during the next day of the cruise. And throughout the day, there's shows, there's events, there's game shows, there's people putting on talks, there's activities being planned throughout the day. And you can sit down and plan out your day the evening before so that when it is a sea day, you're going to have lots of things to do. A sea day is also a good day if you just want to go and lay out in the sun, if you enjoy that type of thing, and sometimes there's nothing better than I like to do than to just lay down in the sun and maybe have a cold drink there. I'm not going to be drinking hard all day, but it's kind of nice to lay in the sun and have something nice and chilly beside me. Now, before we get to the end, I just want to let you know that at the very end, 2 little videos are going to pop up here. And I'd like to make the suggestion that you go ahead and click on those. There's going to be videos designed just for you and hopefully for your for what you like to see. And when I talk about all these tips and answer questions for people about cruising, there's a few things you have to know as well. And that's, my name's Stuart, this is Ship to Shore Cruise News, and as always, get your cruise on.